Welcome to Sandwell Inclusion Support Services. Today we have two parents, David Purcell and Sarah Hall, with us, and they're going to be in discussion with Simon Whitlow, who's head of our sensory support services, in regard to the kind of questions that parents would ask in relation to children with hearing impairments and who are visually impaired. Sarah.
Hi Simon, can you tell us a little bit about your team?
Well, the sensory team comprises really of two teams. One is that works with children with a hearing impairment, and one that works with children with a visual impairment. Both teams have got qualified teachers in them, and all the teachers who are in those teams have got additional qualifications to work with deaf children and with visually impaired children. And as well as the teachers in there, we've got specialist practitioners who've got a particular area of expertise that they work in. So some of them will work with Braille, some of them will work with IT skills, some of them will work with habilitation, and some of them will work with, say, family sign for those children who require their parents to communicate with them through sign. So we've got quite a range of skills within the team, and we think it enables us to work with the range of children that we come into contact with in Sandwell.
Great, thank you. And how do you go about identifying the learning of visually impaired children and young people that you work with?
Most of the children that are referred into our service come in quite early. Because we work with children from the point of diagnosis, and if that diagnosis is very, very young, then that's when we start. So, if I take the hearing impaired side, just to begin with, there is a screening program in England that screens every baby who's born in England for a hearing impairment, and if there's not a clear response on that screen, then they'll be referred for testing. And it could be that from the age of 12 weeks, we get a referral from our audiology services that there is a child who may have a potential hearing impairment. On the VI side, the same thing. There isn't a screen per se, but some of the conditions for VI are more obvious from birth. And they could be identified also if the child is seeing a paediatrician or a doctor. So we all get those referrals in really quite quick. But kids can develop these impairments later on in life. So some kids, may have an illness, say mumps or measles, that can actually cause deafness. Meningitis is another one. There can be some conditions that cause blindness as well, or progressive blindness. So we can get referrals in at any point. And this is just an example. This is the referral form that schools, for example, would fill in. So this gives us the basic details and some information about when they were last checked at the clinic, what sort of issues the schools have identified. So all children will have one of these, and it will be passed on to whichever professional in our team is working with that school. Also, we have had referrals now because the new legislation requires local authorities to have responsibility for some young people up to the age of 25. We've had some referrals where, for example, a young person comes in from abroad, or from another local authority, who could be 20, 21, 22, and we get involved with those as well to make sure that they're receiving the support that they require.
Hi Simon.
Hi.
Could you explain to me what parents might expect from your service as regards to children, and what are your passions, and is there anything that you're working on in the pipeline?
Right. There's a broad range of things that we do with the children and young people. If I take that question in two parts, right? So we'll look at the education side, and then we'll look at the broader aspects afterwards. So from an educational viewpoint, the services will work across wherever they find those children. So for the early years, that could be in the home with the parents. So take the teachers of the deaf, for example. They would go into a home and they would work with the parents about developing language and communication, giving the parents some strategies, resources, toys, how to play with your child to develop language and communication. The teachers of the VI would go in and develop their sensory skills, looking at the environment to make sure that that's appropriate and any adaptations that may be needed. In schools, we will work with the class teachers to make sure that any teaching that's done in the school takes account of the needs of the HI or VI children that might be in the class. So that could be about, on the HI side, that could be about making sure the language, the communication that you use is appropriate to the child that's sitting in front of you. On the VI side, have you made adaptations to materials? So if a child needs it enlarged, or if they need to have a particular piece of equipment that they need to access the whiteboard, for example, has that been provided? We could look at adaptations to the environment. So for HI, is it very reverberant? Is there a lot of echo? Is there things that schools could do, like putting curtains up or whatever it is to absorb the sound? Or colour schemes on steps and door frames to make it easier for VI children to find their way around school. Also, the habilitation officer that we've got on the VI side can actually work with independent skills, finding their way around schools, finding their way around the environment, finding their way around out in the community, to make sure that those children have got the skills they require to be able to find their way around, outside of schools. We can give things like advice about adaptations for exams. So what do schools need to do, or what can they offer kids who are taking SATs, GCSEs, A-levels, whatever it is, to make sure that they've got the best possible chance of getting through those exams with a score that reflects exactly what they're capable of. And then we can liaise with wherever they're going, colleges, to make sure that the support that they require post-16 or post-19 is there for them. But to come to the second part of your question, which was about sort of what other things do we do, I think one of the things that the team identified a few years ago was that we need to look at things outside of that sort of narrow educational focus, and things that would have an impact on them as a wider human being. So, for example, there was some research many years ago about deaf children who are adolescents have a much greater incidence of low-level mental health issues, low self-esteem. Perhaps they don't identify themselves with the deaf world, they don't identify themselves with the hearing world, so they have a very poor self-image and a very poor self-identity. The same with on the VI side is about adolescents when they're thinking about who they are, and as a VI child, what am I? So one of the things that we've done is about trying to bring children who are hearing and visually impaired together, to allow them to meet other young people who share the same issues, and that they can mix, they can talk, they can share those problems. We've taken them away on residential activities. There's a youth club here that quite a lot of our children attend on a regular basis. And we also have a cookery club as well that is part of developing independent living skills as well. So there's a wide range of things that the team does, just sort of not just within the narrow educational focus.
Simon, could you just remind me, how many children in Sunwell do we have altogether with the sensory support service now?
The sensory team at the moment is working with upwards of 700 children. Some we see quite regularly. Others we might just sort of go and visit, say, once a year, just to make sure everything is ticking along nicely. So we can tailor what we do and how often we see them, depending on sort of what the child needs and what the particular issues are within a particular place that we find them.
And how many teachers for visually impaired children are there in Sandwell?
Full-time equivalent for both hearing and teachers of the deaf and teachers of the visually impaired, there's 5.5.
So 5.5 teachers.
Yes.
Across the whole brother.
Well, it's 11 in total. 5.5 teachers of the deaf, 5.5 teachers of the VI, working with approximately 350 on each side, and across the range of schools and also in the homes. And
that includes special schools as well as mainstream schools.
That includes all schools within Sandwell.
And specialist provisions as well.
Yes. Yes, that's a good point. There are a couple of schools within Sandwell that do have additional provisions. So Hargate Primary, for example, and Woden'sborough Ormiston Academy have specialist provisions for deaf children at primary and secondary. So there is one extra teacher of the deaf in Woden'sborough who deals with that.
Thank you, Simon.
Okay, my pleasure.
Okay, thank you very much. If you want to download some more information regarding our sensory impairment services, you'll find this booklet, this handbook of our local offer on the website. So download it, you're free to download it. And can I thank Sarah and David and Simon? Thank you very much.
My pleasure.